Yeah, guys are pretty good considering, the, as I say, quick turnaround. But love it. Yeah, they were really good. In fact, really good.
Is this particularly when you've got a couple shows up like this? Is this more on the coach's plate right now?
I mean, eventually we don't play the game, but I think to get the stuff out there, the hardest part is like the NCAA tournament. You got to figure out a way to get some stuff done, but you can't wear them out. You can't give them overload, and yet you got to get a lot of stuff in, and that's where in the NCAA tournament both teams have one day or something, so it's you don't want to have all stones unturned, but you got to realize they can only pick up so many things in a day and a half, especially after a tough game last night.
When you had the changeover on staff, is that how critical at this time and some of those other short preps that you've had this year in building towards that
Yeah,
staff?
I mean we've had probably as many as anybody, and and then playing over in Maui, all those things. I think that's helped. I still got enough guys on my staff that have done it here, done it other places. So staff's been great about it. I got no complaints there. Players, it's just a matter of staying focused. And as you get tired, you can have mental fatigue or you can have physical fatigue, and you can have both. And so we're just trying to keep them as fresh as we can by short film session, do another short film session, practice, eat, another short film session, and then tomorrow we'll see if we're fresher.
Dusty's, I think, the sixth different Michigan coach you faced. What's your impression of him? Obviously, he's a Knight disciple. And is there a welcome to the rivalry moment that you have with each one of these new coaches you faced for the first time?
No, I faced a lot of them, in a lot of different schools. I think I faced over 60 new coaches, and something ridiculous. And I think Dusty's done a good job, but remember, he's already been to a Final Four. So it's not like he came in. He's been good tutelage when he, was there with Bob, and he did a good job down in Florida, and he's done a great job with his team. I mean, they're well coached, they play hard, and they're unique. It's a unique team with the two 7-footers. So it's something different, and rivalry's the rivalry. Looking forward to it.
Well, they use those 7-footers too. I mean, it's one is essentially a point guard sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, just you face a lot of different matchups, but that's a different sort of challenge than you've seen.
Yeah, especially to do it in a day and a half or something. It is different, and that's part of the challenge. It's an exciting part of the challenge, but they do that. Those guys have been good together, but they got other players on that team besides those two guys. So, and it's a very old team for the most part. So, they don't have all that experience in here, but I think it's really helped that Golden had played for him before, so that's always nice to be able to build around someone that can tell everybody else what you're doing with your system. So, it's been maybe good. It's going to be fun.
What's made them so good in close games? Where they've won a lot of these tight ones. When you watch
them,
what is that trait?
It's so strange. I mean, I'm just starting to dive into them, of course, yesterday, because this one time, plays are really different, and for some reason I just haven't seen them on TV as much as some of the teams we play like you do most years. So what's made them so good on that? They've done a good job. They've either made shots or they've made stops, and they've been in, I think, 8 or 9 out of 10 tight games down the stretch, and that's a mark of a good team.
It's the first time, I think, in 5 years both you guys have been in the top 15 squaring off. It was about that time John Beeline took a loss here and talked about how great it was, and you guys when both programs are competitive and at the top of the Big Ten. How much does that factor into what's on the line on Friday?
Well, I think anytime you talk about rivalries aren't rivalries. We weren't a rivalry when my first 3-4 years we were getting killed every year. Then they weren't much of a rivalry for us, even a longer stretch. And then when John came, after a couple of years, it got to be, I think, one of the better rivalries. And, he made the comment that's, next to the Duke Carolina and working that way, and I think that's true. When both programs are good, course, it's better for the rivalry. Everybody in the state's mad at everybody, and everybody's, actually listening to you guys a little bit more. But yeah, there's, we weren't a rivalry when we weren't any good, and you always got your in-state rivals. But when both programs are good, it's always a better rivalry.
When Michigan had 4 players who averaged 2 or more turnovers a game, and obviously they've had turnover struggles the whole season, but when a team is able to win despite those turnovers, you talk about the close games, like, what does that do for them going into this game where ball control might be?
Well, I'm sure he's not happy about the turnovers, just like I'm not happy about the three-point shooting, and that's been one of their Achilles heels, and let's be honest about it, but they got a lot of other things that have been positive. So there's no perfect team out there. I can promise you that right now. There's nobody that shoots threes, shoots free throws, guards people, rebounds, doesn't turn it over, and satisfies its fan base. There are no teams, zero, absolutely zero. But I think, for the most part, that's been their one thing that they're probably working on. And but to be able to win still doing that, says a lot about it.
Guessing it's been a good week to have Jesse around as a big guy that can do a little bit for you to give you a look for these guys.
Yeah, Jesse's been really good. I mean, you guys see him a little bit, but he's been that way all year, and it's exciting, I think, for his future. But he does help because he can do some of the things. He can handle the ball. He can shoot the ball. So we have some decent guys that can play. There are people. It's never the same, but it's decent. It's been good.
What are the big asks that you have for your big men in this game?
Well, they got to guard some people. They got to move their feet a little bit better because he puts the ball on the floor so well for a big guy, and we're gonna have to be stronger and tougher inside. Golden is big and strong in there, and he's real big, in fact. But I think the biggest thing is whether they can move their feet and stay in front of people, and that's what we'll find out.
That 4-5 ball screen kind of unique for your big defenders to filter through that, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're working on now, that we'll work on tonight, we'll work on tomorrow, we'll work on tomorrow night. But, that's, everybody's got something unique, and that is a unique thing that you don't see many places in the country.
Having Saudi around at least knows a little bit of the personnel. I know the system's different, I guess. Does that factor in at all?
I'm trying to think how many people he knows.
Yeah, Cheddar.
And
Chase Howard.
that play.
Two guys, right?
Yeah. So, I didn't know if
So
there's anything.
Saudi's useless on that, no.
This is the first time playing against him,
I'm
I guess.
just
so it's
kidding,
not
yeah.
that I commend.
I don't know, I know he had some good years there, and but I also know blood is here. Father played here, he grew up here. I'm sure it'll be strange seeing some of the people, when you go back there, the attendance and all the people around. But I'm sure he'll respect them, and I'm sure they'll respect him.
Do you ever, with players or assistant coaches or anyone, when you're about to have a homecoming game, if you will, do you ever go through it with them a little bit just to gauge where they're at? I'm curious, just the emotional level of it.
No, I don't. I think it would be different if he played there and stuff like that, where you're really that guy. But when you've been assistant coach at a couple different schools, I don't know. I don't think so, but I never did it. So nobody. We played Northern this year. It was a homecoming, but it really wasn't the same pressure on me.
How's it going for you? Being this late in the season and still being in the hunt. I don't know that.
That's exciting. That's my whole goal in life when I started this job. 2-3 weeks left to go. Are you in the hunt? If you did that, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But if you're not in the hunt, you have no chance. And that's the excitement of the end of the year, And we know our schedule's been brutal. We know the timing of our schedule's been brutal. But that can also make it all the sweeter if you can survive, and that's what this time of year is, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited about it, and see what happens.
So far, do you feel like your team is beginning to meet the challenge of that goal and increased their urgency and improved as a team to?
Yeah, I really do. I think the guys have been great. We had meetings today, and it's just it's hard to say what physically and mentally. I'm not a guy. I'm not a brain surgeon, and I don't jump into anybody's heart. But they should have practiced pretty well today, considering. And we'll see what happens tonight and tomorrow, because we got a lot of work ahead of us.
The new hire to the athletics NIL department, John Dykema played he was a student manager for you back in like 2000. Do you have any memories of when he was here?
Oh yeah, he was great, and he's done an unbelievable job. I mean, it's a good hire for us. I'm not sure what the hire is. All these things are great. Everybody's hiring general managers, and ours is a little different because he has a legal background, so contracts and all that. But he's done an unbelievable job with the Lions, and I'm excited. I spent some time with him the other night. But if there's no salary cap, it's a little different. Being a general manager with no salary cap, what do you do? So I'm amazed everybody's. And I said his is a little different because of the contract parts of it. But the general managers that some are talking about, I don't know what that means if there's no salary cap. Right now there's no salary cap, so.
Ask the baseball guys, they don't have a salary cap.
I think everybody has some kind of cap, but maybe they don't. Maybe they don't have any. Basketball has. It's either a soft cap or hard cap. There's no hard cap, but at least even in football, who's up, whose contract. What's the guy going to do? Call 360 schools every year and go start calling players and figuring out who should leave, who wants to leave. And you know what? I sure as hell ain't talking about that on this week. Sure as hell. So that's cut. Everything else is good. That wasn't your fault. It's because the question you asked wasn't about my NLI and their NIL. It was about John Dykema. And John Dykema is a good friend. He's done an unbelievable job with the Lions. He's going to be great for us because he's been here. He knows that. I know his job title is going to be a lot of different things. I know he's going to help in the athletic department. I think he's going to try to help because he's had experience in pro football. And he's a lawyer, so he'll be writing up contracts and stuff like that. Other than that, on the day-to-day, as far as where it benefits, I don't know that. And I don't know, anybody will know that until somebody in the government makes a decision on what's going on, and who knows when that'll be, or who knows why that'll be.
One more on Michigan. You mentioned not just the big guys, but the other. Is there an underrated component to their team that you've seen? You said this is something that's not talked about enough?
Well, I think their point guard is a little bit underrated. He's been a guy that everybody looks at the two bigs because they're the two bigs, But he can really do a lot of things. He can shoot it, he can score it, he can drive it. He's a three-dimensional player as far as that goes, and he can guard it. So I think he probably doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. Sometimes he's on the point. Sometimes they give it to their point forward. And of course, they've got a couple guys that can really shoot it. They've got a nice team, and like I said, they're an older team, they're an experienced team that will have to play well to beat, especially down there. All right, guys. Have a good time.